In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
And squad mods, that's what we've got here today, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Warhammer 40k total conversion for squad. And if you want to give it a go, you can grab it right now. All you've got to do is just look for Death and Duty on the Steam Workshop. Give it a download and away you go. It couldn't be simpler. But what do you actually get when you get the download? Well, at the moment there's only sort of one map to play on. I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's called Candia. I could be wrong. Correct me if you know the answer down below. And you get to play two factions. There's the 31st Candian Guard and the Traitor Guard, which I think are just basically Candian Guard models chaosed up a bit. Actually, is chaosed up even a word? Let's just say they've fallen to the corruption of chaos. Yeah, let's just say that. Now, if you've never heard of Warhammer 40k, let's just have a quick little sort of introduction. For those who don't know, I'm sure many of you do, but if you don't, what it is a science fiction IP owned by Games Workshop, which was created originally back in the late 80s, primarily as a tabletop war game using miniatures, but has now expanded into the world of comics, video games, books, and some really, really dreadful animated movies. That said though, if you want to get a real feel for the universe, I thoroughly recommend watching some fan-made movies such as Astartes or Hell's Reach, which are available on YouTube. Now, just turning my attention back onto the mod, gotta say it was a really pleasant surprise to see that modding finally came back to Squad, and this was one of the first things I saw which was available in the Steam Workshop, and I thought I just have to have a go. So I jumped in, started playing, and these are just my first initial thoughts on playing the game. So what you get is a city which is completely ruined, looks absolutely terrible, but terrible in a good way, because the amount of layers of detail that go into just presenting what is a city that's been devastated by war, I can't begin to fathom the amount of work that went into creating that. But it was certainly time well spent. It's just a pity there's only the one map to play on, but I'm looking forward to seeing what new maps the devs have in store for us, if this one is anything to go by. Weapon-wise, all of the models have been converted. They look really good. One of the details I really liked was seeing the little Imperial standard on the med packs the troopers use. However, I did find some of the specialist support weapons a little bit hit and miss when using them. For example, the heavy AT missile launcher was a bit of a nightmare to use, although to be fair, I have found the same sort of issue when playing the Galactic Contention mod, so I think that's something that needs to be looked at just in general for all modders. But other weapons such as a grenade launcher are an absolute pleasure to use. So accurate, so devastating, absolutely loved it. Now, as far as the standard issue rifle that most of the troopers get, I did find them a little strange. They were a little bit clunky, a little bit chunky, strangely satisfying to use, but when I did first start playing the game, I thought they were an absolute nightmare. So it would seem if you want to get good with them, it's just a question of perseverance and practice, and you'll be cleansing heretics in no time. So we've covered some of the pros. What are some of the cons? Now bear in mind, this mod is very much in an alpha state. So rather than treat this as a list of negatives, just think of it as a list of points to be aware of, so you're not surprised or disappointed when you jump into the game. Having said that, here are some of the issues I encountered. Well, first of all, there are no HABs or resupplies. If you want to resupply your weapons, you have to respawn at the main base, unless you get lucky and a rifleman drops some resupplies for you. But if there's no rifleman around, then you may as well respawn at main. Also, one thing I might add here is if you get shot, you may as well respawn at main, because to wait for the respawn on the rally takes a little bit too long, and you can actually just run back into combat from main because it's quite a small skirmish map. So think about that. As for vehicles, there are none at the moment in game. You will see some models and they do look really good, but there are no drivable vehicles in game. Again, I fully expect that to turn up at some point in the future, but seeing as this map is quite a sort of small, contained urban environment, don't really need them, don't really miss them. Now, the one thing that I think that people might have an issue with, and ultimately might even make or break the mod, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, is the fact that you can only play as, well, humanoids. You're the sort of Candian infantry or the Chaos variation. And that is the fact that there are no Space Marines. Well, there's no Space Marines, no Eldar, no Chaos Space Marines. Basically none of the factions that people really like to play in 40k games. And as I said before, for me, whether this mod is successful or not and has a really strong uptake depends entirely on how soon they can get the big boys in. I guess a good analogy would be, say, somebody makes a Superman video game but doesn't actually include Superman in the game as a playable character. I'm not saying it can't be done or done well, but there's going to be a lot of disappointed people. And finally we come to the only issue I actually had a problem with, and I'm pretty sure this is something that's going to be sorted out with a bit of tinkering, but that was the lighting in game. more specifically the lighting indoors. It was way too dark. So I found myself trying to play outdoors on rooftops, which is a lot of fun actually when you're trying to snipe people from rooftops. But as I was saying, I tried to either stay outside or I had to tinker around with my gamma settings, which was a little bit of a pain when you're being shot at. But even when I was putting the video together, I did have to tinker around with my color correction in my video editing software. So there you go. Not real criticisms, more, as I said before, points to be aware of because it's an alpha and I'm going to cut it a lot of slack because I love my mods and these guys have done an epic job, and I'm going to jump in for some more action. So don't forget to help the channel out by liking and subscribing and blah de blah de blah. But also before I forget, I know I said this was available on Steam, but these guys also have a Discord which is also called Death and Duty, so check it out, join it. If you've got any questions, any suggestions, or just need to swear in the oath of moment, do it over there. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, this is HippCelt signing off.
One guy on Charlie Mark. Two.